All right, hey everyone. I wanted to make a quick video to go over your OC-1 trial results. So the rankings page is what you see right here on this page that I've pulled up. So you can click on the male, female. So it'll give you the rankings. So it's ranked by just the third final trial where we used the boat's at the dam with the impeller, the little propeller on the bottom of the boat. So there's the boys and the girls ranking. If you go back to this sheet, you'll have a link here, which you can click on, which has the detailed data from your OC test. So I'm going to go over to that sheet here. So it's going to look like a big barf of a lot of data. Um, so I'm just going to run through this really briefly. You guys don't need to, if you just want to kind of look at your time, that's this stuff highlighted in blue. So you can see the final 500-meter time that it took you to do the 500, and then we have your 250-meter split. So the stroke rate is also shown. So for your total 500-meter, this is your stroke rate that you did, and then your split halfway through. So you guys might have questions. What is all the data? For those who want to know a little bit more, I'm just going to go from left to right here. So we obviously you have the different boats that were used. There's the red one and the orange one, and then this label here, this corresponds to which sheet down here corresponds to your test. So for example, if we're looking at Nick's test, it's R1. So if you want to find your test, you can click on this here and you can scroll down, find which one corresponds to you. So I'm going to go to that real quick just to show you what that looks like. So if we click onto Nick's, it gives you some charts kind of letting you know how you did throughout the test. So this on the left side is your stroke rate. This chart used to look a little bit different, but they updated this, so I haven't gone back to change it. But what's mostly shown now is just your stroke rate. So you can see how your stroke rate changed throughout the test. What I like to look at when I'm looking at my own data is this boat speed here. So your boat speed, I plot it after about 5 strokes into your test. And you can see where your speed might be dropping a little bit or where you picked up speed again. So I think I talked to you guys at some point about this. As you guys are progressing in your paddling careers, usually when you're trying to refine um, your tests or for any particular distance, usually the most elite athletes, they will have a pretty even split from the first half to the second half. So you can kind of look at that. You can also kind of look at, if we go back to the summary, right? So again, this is like, if you look at your time for your 250 meters, you want to kind of look at how much time, extra time it took you to do the second 250 meters. I don't have that calculated here, but if you go into the rankings here, I don't have it here either. But you can kind of do some simple math. So like Nick's time, if he had an even split, right? If you just double this, this would be 2 minutes, about 2 minutes 45 seconds. So it took him about 4 seconds longer to do that second half. So you guys can look at that for each one of you, and if it took, if you basically want to keep that the difference in percentage like less than 5% longer on the second half to really maximize your potential. Okay, so let's move on now. Again, we already went through the times here. This is just kind of information that might be useful for you. So the little speed coach that's on the front of your boat, it measures your GPS distance. So the impeller was set to a calibration value of 0.9, so it approximately is close to 500 meters. But you can see each person, there's a little bit of variation, and that's why we double check the calibration for every single one of your runs to make sure that every one of you has like a fair trial, and it's comparable across the board. So you can see the test calibration value is here, and then I calculate the actual calibration value here. Um, so whatever time you saw on the little speed coach, it's adjusted a little bit based on that actual calibration factor. If you guys really want to know more about how it's calculated, you can actually just highlight the cells and look at the equations that I'm using um, to get that. Um, so lastly, if you want to see how straight up a course you took, I included a little Garmin GPS map that you can click on. So again, I'm using Nick as an example. If I click on this, it's going to load his, and you will see this shows up, right? So you want to have as straight of a line as possible through that test so you lose as little speed as possible. So those are things that you can kind of look at. If you had a lot of squiggly lines here, those are ways that you can improve on that test. If you're already running a straight course, some of those things you want to look at is, again, how much extra time it's taking on your second half, and try to smooth that out. Okay, I think that's pretty much all you would need to know. If you guys have any questions about your test in particular, you guys can shoot me an email. But that's, I think those are the basics that you would need to know when you're looking at the sheet and how to find your particular test. So again, let me pick, if I pick another random person, so if we look at Patricia's, again, this is R2, right? So you go down here and pick that test to look at, and you can kind of look at that data as well. Okay. Oh yeah. So on your particular sheets, you can, if you scroll down, you'll see like every single stroke that was taken and the data there, and that's kind of what's plotted. So if any of you are kind of into that data stuff, you can pull your own data and kind of look at how you did with more detail. Okay. Hopefully that is useful for you guys. Again, I know some of this calculation stuff here is a little bit more, I don't know, maybe nerdy for some of you guys. If you really want to know how it works, feel free to ask me. Okay? All right. That's it.